Hello, happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to the Empower Hour. We got a good one for you today, and we're going to be talking about rewriting or recreating your story. This is a good one. So, if you got a pen and a paper, get ready to take some copious notes because this is where so many people get stuck. And why is that? It's because we are the story that we tell ourselves in our head. We're limited by what we allow ourselves to believe. And if we have a very small story about who we are, if we have a negative story about the world around us, then we're limited by that story. There's just no way we're going to create the life that we all want to live. Many times I ask people, do you want an amazing life? Everyone says yes. Now I'll ask, do you feel you're an amazing person? They say, no, that's hard to say. Well, how are you supposed to have an amazing life if you don't feel the equal of that? You have to be what you wish for. And if the story we're telling ourselves is too small, then we are limited by that story. If our self talk and what we say to ourselves is so negative, then we live that, we create that. So we're going to get into it today. Again, if you're taking notes, take some really good notes because this episode will help you a lot. We've got some people in our green room that will come in and share at the end of this, ask questions and share what they got out of it. So we'll bring them up at the end. But let's get started. Remember, your life is merely a reflection of the story that you are telling yourself about yourself. Now, when you were a Jehovah's Witness, what was that story? Well, the story was is that you were a flawed person, right? They'd always make the analogy of the baking pan or something like that, where if there's a flaw in the pan, there's a dent in the pan, there's a dent in the cake. That Adam sinned, and we all are just these kind of unworthy beings who needed a sacrifice by God's Son to even be worthy. That everything we get is we're not worthy of. We were told over and over again how unworthy we were. Now, how does that make you feel if you feel unworthy? If you feel like you're not good enough? If you feel inherently flawed? Where do you get your confidence from if you feel like something is wrong with you and you were born with something wrong with you? You see, a religion like that is using everyone's power to serve the organization. So it was never about you. Where was there ever any focus on you and your story? What did you feel like you ever accomplished while you were in that religion? Most times, it was never about you. If you got any pats on the back, it had to do with if you were pioneering or auxiliary pioneering, or if you got appointed as a servant or something that serves them, but it wasn't about you. You were an interchangeable piece in that religion. So no focus was ever on you. You were taught that any kind of self confidence, self belief, or believing in yourself, or feeling really good about yourself somehow was conceit. So you felt a need to not shine any light on yourself. If you're a woman, everything I'm saying, triple that because you were under a man. You were under an organization. Your voice did not matter. Who you were did not matter. How can you have the confidence to go out into real life and to succeed as you were really designed to? Your story must be fabulous if you want a fabulous life. Why are we telling ourselves such a small story? Do we really think that the people who accomplish amazing things in life are so much better than us? If you believe that, it's a lie. They're no better than us. They simply have a different story, a story that they deserve the things that they have, that they deserve the life that they have, that they deserve the abundance that they enjoy, that they deserve the relationships that they enjoy, that they deserve the happy lives that they get to live. If we told ourselves a story that this world is so horrible, then we live as if that's true. Is it so horrible? Really? The witnesses taught you that it is so horrible that God needs to intercede. The world's never been worse. Let me ask you a question. Would my life be better 200 years ago in America? What would my life be like here in America 200 years ago? I'd be picking cotton for somebody in Alabama. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be a slave. Is it really better? Back in the 1800s, 1700s, women died routinely just from childbirth. Is it better? Witnesses got so freaked out over the COVID scare and that pandemic, and they were saying this is a sign of the end. Did you know that the Spanish flu killed 50 million people? I mean, wiped out entire neighborhoods and families, the entire family. Is it so much better in the past, really? When you look at what the Crusades did and the millions of people that were killed during the Crusades, during colonization, was it better? Was there ever a better time to be a woman than right now? Just remember this, my friends. When you have a belief, your mind goes to work to validate the belief. So if you want to believe that this is the worst of times, then you'll probably keep the news on all day. CNN or Fox News are blaring in the background, and you're hearing every negative thing that's happening, and your mind is always looking for evidence that what you think is real. It looks for evidence of it. My whole life, I was told these are the end of days, and if I went through my whole life, there was always something that was showing that the end is right around the corner. Right around the corner. When I was a little kid, it was the Vietnam War. Then it was the Cold War. Then I remember one of the presidents saying the words peace and security. I mean, I can go on and on with a definite sign that the end was coming. And the witnesses and other religions like it have been doing that since the 1800s. There's always something. 1914, what happened in 1914? World War I. This has got to be the end. And they predicted the end. What happens when there's World War II? You see, there's always something that is showing you that you're correct if you adopt a belief. But is this the worst of times? How cool is it that I could be on this technology and speak to you all? Pretty cool. How cool is it that no matter where you live, for most of you, at least in the States, that if I wanted to jump on a plane, I'd be at your airport in a few hours. How cool is that? I mean, there was a time where if I wanted to get to the other side of Las Vegas and back, that'd take me 3-4 days. How cool is that? Yes, there are things wrong with the world, but what's the story you're telling yourself? Because if you're telling yourself a story of doom and gloom, your life will reflect that doom and gloom. So when you start telling yourself a story about how wonderful your life is, and you start counting your blessings and living with a sense of gratitude, then your mind will automatically look for more things that you should be grateful for. If you leave off the news and take a walk in nature first thing in the morning and hear the birds chirping and the sunrise, and you can say hello to all the happy people that are up early in the morning, because we know that's when the happiest people are walking around, is early in the morning, then you'll have validation that you live in a wonderful world. You'll have validation that the world is a wonderful place. And your mind will keep looking to make you correct. Another thing we have to stop doing is being stuck on our old story. The story of being a Jehovah's Witness. So a lot of people go from being a Jehovah's Witness, all they do is put an X in front of it. They're still defined by the religion. So they keep stirring that up over and over and over again. Now, why do a lot of ex-witnesses do that? Well, they do that because it's the one thing that defined them their whole life. So instead of allowing themselves the space to find something else to really involve themselves in, or letting who they are define them instead of something outside of them, they just keep regurgitating the religion. Because when you take the religion out from where it was, there's a big void in you. And that void doesn't feel good. You leave the religion and you get out into the real world, and it's like that real world is going 100 miles an hour, and you're standing still. They've gone to college. They've done things that have gotten them accolades and recognition. They've really lived their life, and you're feeling like, who am I? Where do I get started? Who am I in this world? You might feel like nobody. So what ex-witnesses do is they put the religion back where the void was, because that's the one thing they know a lot about, and they keep hammering at the religion. So they go from being a witness to being a apostate, or whatever label they want to put on themselves, and they jump into the world of that because that's the place that makes them feel worthy and valid. But that's not going to take you anywhere in the real world. You've got to be open to expanding your story. That being a witness was just a part of your journey, but it doesn't define you. Just like being in high school is a part of your journey, but it doesn't define you. You've got to be willing to open up to a new story and new possibilities, and knowing that the past is only going to serve you if you look at it the right way. So let's talk about how the mind works so that you can become the captain of your mind. Because as long as you're not the captain, you're just a ship that's just drifting at sea. No rudders, no sail, it's just drifting. How many of you feel like that? Like you're just a drifting ship with no real destination. You're just subject to the wind and how the wind blows you. You've got to know how your mind works. So take note of this. You have three components of your mind. You have the conscious, the subconscious, and what's called the super subconscious. Now, your mind, you are really in touch with your conscious mind because that's attached to your five senses, and that's how you take in information. You're in touch with your conscious mind, but that's not what runs you. What runs you is your subconscious mind and the programming of your subconscious mind. Now, how does your subconscious mind get programmed? Well, it gets programmed through repetition. When you ask yourself, what did I do more repetitiously than the activities of the Jehovah's Witnesses? You'll probably say nothing. For me, it was Watchtower prep on Monday, where we prep our Watchtower as a family. Tuesday, we had book study. Wednesday, I had to go in service after school half the time. Thursday was service meeting. Friday was my one free day. Saturday, I had to go knock on doors on Saturday morning. Sunday was the Sunday meeting. At school, I even had to conduct the day's text for the other kids at school. I mean, it's never a break, just inundated with stuff where you're being programmed. When you did the Watchtower study, they'd ask the question, read the paragraph, ask the question again. You had the answer from the paragraph. That's called programming. They're programming you. Repetition is how your brain gets programmed. So for a lot of you, when you leave the religion, you still have the programming of the Jehovah's Witness. So when you have a conscious thought, the conscious mind delivers that thought to the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind holds the meaning and the emotion to everything in your life. And if the meaning and emotion was put there by the Jehovah's Witnesses, then you have a tug of war in your mind, where you wish to go and where you're programmed to go. It means you still see the world through the lenses of a witness, even if you're not relating what you're doing to the witnesses. That's why a lot of people sabotage their lives, because their mind is programmed for it. Now, the third part of your mind, the super subconscious, it's trying to make you correct about your subconscious beliefs. So it's always looking for evidence of what you've taken in as truth. And that's why we get stuck a lot of times. So if we still have that main part of us focus on the Jehovah's Witnesses, then your mind is just looking for things having to do with that. It's still stuck on that. And you're not able to move forward with your life. So we have to be able to redefine and put the old story to rest. Now, the way we do that is going to determine our future. We're going to bury the old story. But for some people, when they bury something, they're putting everything to death. They're burying themselves. But for other people, they're burying a seed. You see, you can bury something and put a finality to it, or you can bury something, it's the seed for something new. Let me say that again. You can bury something and it's the end of it, like a burial. When somebody dies, you bury it's the end of it, or it's the seed for something new. So you can have a fruit and bury the seed, and what happens? Something new comes out of it. And that's how I want all of you to look at your lives, like something new is growing. So how do you nurture that seed? You fertilize that seed. So you've got to watch what you read, what you take in, the mentors and the people around you. So you mentor that seed so that something incredible, a new tree comes. It's still a part of the old story, right? In that it came from it, but it's not it. Allow yourself to grow into something new. Remember, the past only serves you from what you learn from it. Worrying about things you can't control is not going to serve you. There are things in my life that I'd love to be different, but I cannot focus on things I can't control. I just could kind of wait my turn, and maybe things will change in time and I can address it when it does change, but for right now it's out of my control. All the past is good for is for you to learn from. When you refer to the past, what can I learn? How does this make me better? How can the past serve me? If you're looking at how the past destroyed you, you will stay broken. You have to ask, how does the past serve me? How does getting through something make me a bigger version of myself? When you're going through something, you have to know that on the other side of what you're going through is a bigger, better, more powerful version of yourself, not a broken version. You have to start to write a new story. We're not writing a new chapter, we're writing a new book. We're closing the old book. We're not burning it, we're not throwing it away. Sometimes we need to refer to that old book. But we're writing a new book, a new story where we get to write the storyline. We're not given the storyline. The old storyline was a religion. We just served it. The old book was about the religion. That was the theme of the book. We were co-stars in our own book. In this new book, we are the stars of this new book. We get to choose who are the co-stars in this book. We can write them out of the story if we wish to. We get to write the story that's unique to us, and we're not waiting for someone to validate the story, to okay the story. Whatever story you want to write is okay because you are the star. You are the star. You are the screenwriter. You are the producer. You are the talent agent. You are all of it. You do the casting. You do all of it. This is a new book. Now that you are writing this new book, you need to start programming your mind. Now, I told you earlier how you program your subconscious mind, because 90% of what you do, over 90% of what you do, is subconscious. How do you reprogram your subconscious mind? How do you overwrite the subconscious mind? How do you re-record over the subconscious mind? I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember, but I remember when I was a teenager, and it was the cassette tapes. And most of us weren't, well, we were all children of witnesses for the most part, right? So most of us didn't have a lot of money. We get that good Maxell tape. I mean, Maxell, well, that was a good tape, right? Oh, we couldn't buy too many of them. So you know what? We get tired of some old songs. We record right over them. You reuse that cassette tape over and over and over again because Mama was going to buy a new one, right? So we record over that tape over and over again. And your mind's the same way. Now it's not like it really got rid of the song. It just re-recorded over it. It re-recorded over it. And if you didn't do it right, there'd be a gap, right? And sometimes you hear the old song for a second or two until the next one that you recorded came over, right? But it's the same way with your mind, where you re-record over it. You keep putting new files in the file cabinet until those old files are pushed back so far that you take those old files, you put them in a box, and you put them in your attic. It's dusty up there with your old taxes. All the Jehovah Witness stuff becomes like that. But for those people still focus on the witnesses all the time, those files are fresh. That's why you get triggered all the time, because it's alive and well in your subconscious mind. When you spend your downtime just watching all the videos that piss you off, and you just keep taking in stuff that makes you mad about the religion, well, those files are fresh. They're still right there. That's why you get triggered. That's why you get so angry, because you haven't put any new files in the subconscious mind to focus on. In your mind, you have something called the reticular activating system. Write that down. The reticular activating system. It's a part of your mind that filters out unnecessary information. Now, why do we need the reticular activating system on our minds? It's because our subconscious mind actually notices every single thing. And if we were aware of that, it'd make us crazy. So people with autism, certain kinds of autism, they don't have that filter. That's why things that load their senses are hard. Too much sound or too much sight. Some children could be on a train and write or draw every single window in every building that they went by because they don't have the filter. They took it all in. We have a filter. So when we calibrate the reticular activating system, we're calibrating it to the things that are important with us. So it will never filter those things out. For a lot of ex-witnesses, it's still calibrated to the Jehovah's Witness. So it doesn't filter anything out that having to do with the Jehovah's Witness. Now, it's difficult to totally, know that out because we spent so much time being a witness. But we have to allow the space for other things to become important in the mind. So the reticular activating system starts focusing on letting in things that are important to us. So I'll give an example of how it works. So if I'm sitting somewhere in a doctor's office, say, and I'm sitting with any one of you, we're talking about something important. And we're really in this intense conversation. And there's two ladies next to us, and they're talking about, I don't know, planting their new garden. And if someone were to come up and say, hey, what are those ladies talking about? I would say, I don't know. I'm talking to my friend here, and we're in a deep conversation. I have no idea what they're talking about. And then the person goes away, and then the lady's conversation starts to shift. Next thing you know, in their conversation, the words Bethel, Kingdom Hall, service meeting, field service, elder, ministerial servant, all these witness words start coming up in the conversation. Even though I'm in a deep conversation here, my ear hears that because the reticular activating system is trained to never filter that out. You see, I love football. I'm not a big hockey fan, right? So if somebody was talking about the Blackhawks of hockey, I don't hear that because I don't really watch hockey. But if somebody says something about the Dallas Cowboys, my ear goes like that because my reticular activating system has made that important. So it's important for all of you to start recalibrating your reticular activating system so you start making other things important other than just the witness stuff. Now, for some of you, you get really triggered when you see them at their carts and doing what they do, or you get a letter in the mail and you get super triggered. It's because that is still way too important to you. If I got one of those letters in the mail, just throw it in the trash, whatever. It's just junk mail. It's the same thing as Home Depot sending me stuff in the mail, as far as I'm concerned, because that stuff doesn't matter to me. I just crumple it up. I don't need to read it and get all triggered, and I gotta write them back. And no, just trash. I get a lot of stuff I don't want in the mail. I just throw them all away because it's no longer important to me, right? So when you get to that point where it's just not important to you, then you'll walk by their carts and you just say, "Good morning." They're just a couple of old ladies doing what they believe because it's not important to me anymore. So all of you need to start doing that if you really want to move forward in your life, because you'll just be stuck in this witness purgatory where you just can't move. You're just in this place where you're just pissed off all the time and you're easily triggered. So again, learning to move on. Understand this. There's a need for courage. There's a need for courage. This is not easy. But knowing that you are courageous enough to leave. Now you have to be courageous enough to finish the story. Waking up from the religion is just a step of waking up. Doesn't mean you woke up. You've woken up when you realize who you are. When you know who you are, then you have woken up. Waking up for the religion is step one. Now you must complete it. You must keep waking up and you must walk in courage. When you walk in courage, you realize that you're going to disappoint people. I'm living the greatest life I've ever lived. Excuse me. Yet to the people that are my family, I am the biggest disappointment. I've never done more good on this planet than right now. I've never been more in alignment with who I really am than right now. But for the people of that religion, I am the disappointment. And I'm okay with that because there's nothing more important than living my purpose. I don't live my life to appease people who look at the world through this small little lens because I live this life, they live this life. This will never make this happy. So allow yourself to be truly who you are and keep waking up. Remember, you're not awake just from leaving the religion. You're awake when you come to know who you truly are. Waking up from the religion is step one. And if you keep focusing on the religion, it's like one eye that's open. Your other, when you wake up and you just got one eye open and you're still groggy, well, you stay in that state. When both eyes are open, when you're alert, and when you know where you're going, you know where you are, and you know where you're going in life, that's when you're awake. So keep moving forward, my friends. You are a trailblazer. If it's difficult and you're the first one in your family that's woken up, or it feels like you're swimming against the tide or swimming upstream, stop focusing on your family. Stop focusing on people that will never accept you. Stop focusing on people who don't really have a role in this new story. If you're writing a new story, remember, people of the old book, they're not guaranteed a role in this book. None of my family are in my new book. It doesn't mean I hate them. When I want to visit my family, I go get the old book and I flip through it. Nobody from high school is in very few people that I knew from high school are in my new book. If I want to visit high school, I go get my old yearbook from high school and I flip through and I revisit high school for a minute. I don't burn the old book. I flip through it every now and then, but they're not in the new book. If they wake up from the religion, I might write them in. I might give them a role. But right now, you don't have a role. This book is about what I'm here to do on this planet. Your book is about what you're here to do on this planet. And not everybody deserves a role. Don't try to force somebody a role and write them in. Might be your mom or dad or your brother or your sister. You still love them, but don't try to force a role. It's only going to disappoint you. They're not going to follow the script. It's like you're doing a movie and you give somebody a script and they just refuse to follow it. This is just going to say what they want to say. You can't be in my movie. If you don't follow the script of my movie, you can't be in my movie. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. This is the script because this is how this movie is supposed to go. So I get to be the co-star in some of other people's movie. For some of you watching right now, I'm a co-star in your movie. You gave me a role. Thank you. I'm going to play the role I'm supposed to play. Thank you. But you are the star of your movie. Remember that. So begin to write another story that's bigger than any label. Try to avoid labels as much as you can. Witnesses love labels. Oh, they got so many labels. Don't limit yourself with labels. Everything's possible. You can create as you wish. Whatever you allow your mind to believe, you can achieve. And do not be afraid of seeing what's great about you. Do not be afraid of being okay with being a fan of you. Nobody's going to do that for you but you. No one is going to see the possibilities for your life like you. Stop telling yourself a small story because it doesn't serve you. I'm going to say this. If you can see the greatness in your children, for those of you who have children, then why can't you see the greatness in yourself? Whose kids are that? Whose kids are your children? Who made those kids? You. Why do you try to build them up and you put yourself down? Start talking positively about yourself. Start believing in yourself. Start believing that you can create anything that you can imagine and get yourself to believe. Stop telling yourself a small story. Stop looking for validation from other people who tell a small story. You see, people who tell small stories have a small story for everybody. Because if they start telling a big story about you, that just reflects badly on them. If you can do it and they can't do it, That reflects badly on them. So they're going to make sure to tell you you can't do it because they can't do it. Remember, the things that people say about you have nothing to do with you, has everything to do about themselves. If someone tells you that you can do it, it's because they already did. If someone tells you they can't do it, it's because they never did. So watch who you validate in life. Only surround yourself with people who believe in themselves. Surround yourself with people with big thoughts. And don't be afraid of big thoughts. And don't think you're not worthy because you are. You're worthy of anything you can imagine. Start writing a story worthy of that. Embrace that thought and then start wrapping your story around bigness, around impact, around abundance, and let your life come to life. Remember, you're bearing a seed. You're not burying you're burying the seed of something new. Now focus on nurturing that seed and let your greatness come through because it's there. You're not the story of the past. Don't fight the past. Let it go. Let's say that again. Quit fighting your past. As screwed up as it may have been, stop fighting it. That doesn't define you. That's a witness thing, right? Oh, I did something 4 years ago. Oh, really? We're going to reprove you or disfellowship you now. 4 years ago, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And we're going to punish you for something you did 4 years ago. No, yesterday ended at 11:59 p.m. last night. There's nothing real but this present moment. The past only exists in your mind, and all it's good for is things for you to pull from to learn. Stop judging yourself of the past. The only thing that's present or that's real is the present moment. And if you live the present right, you create a compelling future. So let's bring our guests up from the green room. They've been watching this whole time, and we want their input, their questions, or whatever they want to add. I'm going to bring them to the screen, and we can enjoy some interaction with our guests. So anybody that wants to share, just go ahead and raise your hand like this, and I'll go ahead and call you. And if you have your cameras off, please turn them on if you can, because that's what this is kind of about, is the sharing, and we want to see your faces. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, who had something to share? It could be a question, it could be a share, but whatever it is that you want to add. Jack, go ahead.
Sorry, I was looking for the unmute button for a while. Very interesting topic. Those of you who know me, I'm also doing very similar work that Rodney does. This year, what I decided to do, I wanted to go back to my roots and help some Polish community because I was originally born in Poland. And I tell you one thing, that story that you have, your past, all your pains, some people can take it as a waste of life, waste of time, or you can take it as a greatest gift. Because all that experience that you had until now, you can use it to help other people. That's what Rodney said. Rodney says he feels so fulfilled, and I feel exactly the same thing. We saved lives. People who wanted to commit suicide, people who didn't know whether to take blood or not. And we never had that as witnesses. And now that we're doing the work that we're doing, it is by far the most fulfilling work. But it would not be possible for us to do any of this if we were not Jehovah's Witnesses first, if we didn't go door to door, if we didn't do the talks from the platform. It would not be possible. If we didn't go through the pain of waking up, being shunned, being cut off, we would never understand those who are going through the same right now. So don't see it as a waste. It's a gift if you use it. If you use it, because people waking up all the time, right? As we speak, there's somebody that like, holy crap, this is wrong. And they're looking for communities, and they're looking for people, and they're looking for leaders, especially not for people to tell them what to do, but people who can show them by example that their life can be still a gift no matter how much time you still have left, right? So it's absolutely by far one of the most rewarding work for me as well to do. And I encourage everyone to reach out and help to others. Just even if you just listen, you don't have to say anything. You might feel, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified, if I'm adequate. Just listen to their story. And people, when they feel that you can identify with their pain, with their problems, and they see that you're not judging them, that's more than enough. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Your path, and for everyone, their path becomes their treasure chest. For me as a speaker, for those who don't know, I'm a motivational speaker. I've spoken at some things where it was the majority of their crowd were people who were trying to recover from drug addiction, right? And I'd go up and do my thing and feel real good about it. Go, I did a real good job. But I tell you what, it doesn't touch the person who comes on after me who actually went through the addiction. Oh, I cannot relate to stealing grandma's jewelry and selling it for drugs. I can't. Sounds crazy to me. Right? So I don't know what that's like. But that person that touches that person, that can look someone in the eye and go, brother, I've been there. Bro, I stole grandma's jewelry, man. I sold it, man. I was so embarrassed, so ashamed of myself. I hurt so many people, but you can get up and you can do this. You know, I speak at this thing called Hope for Prisoners. There's a program here in Vegas that they're reintroducing people who are incarcerated back into the community. And again, they have me speak there, but it's not like the guy that actually spent time that went and became successful, that looks at these people and go, bro, you can do it. I did it. So whatever your path is, it becomes your treasure chest if you look at it the right way. If you look at it the wrong way, it's the thing that's always going to pain you and hurt you. But if you look at it the right way, it's your treasure chest. It's what's going to help you propel in life. Just change your perspective on it. So thank you, Jack. Anyone else? Brandy?
Morning, guys. Yeah, dude, so much. So I just went to resume building at the college. They're trying to teach me how to do job interview skills and resume building and that kind of thing. And on Wednesday, and it was exactly this, because I had to explain to her what I was bringing to the table in order to pursue certain jobs. And as I did it, the thing went something like this: just a housekeeper, rag doll. I got a bucket and vac. I know nothing special. I kind of am nothing special, and I'm not sure where to go. The lady goes, "Oh, okay. So can you explain in more detail?" So as I explained it to her, we realized that no, all of these things that I'm bringing to the table that I thought were nothing special and whatever, reliability alone, just reliability, leadership skills, detail oriented, volunteered for 10 years at some place and loyal to these folks. Just a plethora of stuff. I'm ready to invest myself fully in the right place where I feel like it's honest and decent and cool. The lady goes, "Wow, why do you think this?" Guys, for real, I'm not exclusively to the J Dubs, but largely this is where it came from. Just knowing, like, you just put your head down. It's all about, if you're humble, you're a good person, and all this junk. Not saying that's awful, but I am saying if that's the only criteria, you're really discounting what you've got going on and the things you can do. Um, and so I'm just, when you say the old story and the new story, I mean, putting it on paper was a real interesting exercise. I
Mhm.
encourage y'all to try to like write your own resume just to see what it would be. Oh, and I also saw, because you see what you've got and you see what you've got to work on, like, or what you would like to work on. So I'm like, oh, I need to learn professional language and I need to learn tech skills and certain stuff. But I feel much better about, like, whatever, I can do this. The lady actually said, "Dear, you could probably succeed in any field you'd like if you just kind of, you have to proceed confidently and just move forward." And I go, "Okay." So yeah, telling the new story. Um, and then Rodney, thanks a lot for what you said a minute ago. That's my favorite thing I've ever heard. When they send you the literature and you get the letters and the literature, and you just go, "This is like Home Depot. This is like Home Depot sending me, or Burger King sending me coupons." It's nothing to worry about. Just no thank you and moving on. But yeah,
Well,
that's all.
here's the thing I want you to see. Like, you saw that was just a shift of perspective that woman helped you to do, right?
Correct.
And sometimes it's just realizing who you are. So even on this live stream. And I'm just going to share something. Brandy was messaging me earlier, goes, hey, I'll give up my seat if somebody else wants to get on because I only have so many people I can have on this live stream. I go, no, you always have a seat. You know why? Because you are the brightest light when we do this. Everybody who watches this, I promise you, they all remember you because you have this energy. You have this energy and it just lights up this live stream whenever we do it. That's who you are. You
Thank you.
must see that. You must see that you bring that kind of value wherever you go. People are going to want that energy around them. And that
Thanks,
it
man.
makes you special. I'm saying this so you embrace this about yourself because I can say this confidently because everyone watching, I'm watching their heads nod because they know this about you. So this is what you bring. You are very special. You have to see that. And it doesn't make you not humble. Again, let's change what humble means. Humble does not mean thinking less of yourself. Humble does not mean dulling your shine. Humble means you're a person that can hear constructive criticism from somebody you admire and get even better, right? When you get constructive criticism, it doesn't mean you're bad. It means you can get even better. And it also means that you can see the greatness in others. That I don't think I'm great at everything. I know what I'm great at and I'm going to own it. But I can see what's great about that person. And I could say, you know what? I'm really good at this thing, but Brandy's good at that. I'm not so good at that. Right. And MP is good at that. Right. Michael's good at that. And I'm not so good at that. And I could see the greatness of others. That's what humility is. When you make time for people, when you're staying in a hotel and you acknowledge the housekeeper, what's your name? You make them feel like somebody. That's humility. Humility is not dulling your shine. Whatever wattage light you are, you turn the dimmer all the way up. You don't turn the dimmer down. That's not humility. It's turning the dimmer down so the light doesn't shine. You know, not everybody's different. Some people are 40-watt bulbs, 60, 80, 100. Some people are halogen lamps. But you never put the dimmer down on purpose.
Deal.
You don't live that way. Okay, so awesome. Love it.
Thanks, man.
All right. Anybody else with a share? Even if you're off camera, turn your camera on if you want to share. Anybody else want to contribute? Let's look at some of the comments while you guys think about it. I'll just go through the comments on the side here. Oh yeah, they're all in agreement here. Looking for confidence. Any questions? You can also ask questions on the chat, and if I see it on time, I'll go ahead and add that in. Okay, but anybody else with a share while you're online here? Okay, let's go, Michael.
Yeah, so yeah, that was awesome. I know a real good one that you were talking about was you were talking about be a better person of yourself, and be a big fan of ourselves, because a lot of times I know for myself, people give me, hey, you're really awesome. You're good at doing videos. You're good at doing this and this and that. And it's just like, oh yeah, I appreciate it. But you don't really attend that, So, the thing about it is we got to pat ourselves for the little small things, so we can appreciate the bigger things that are coming, right? And it's like taking day for day, and it's just in time that's going to happen. But that really relates, and we write our own story. So the story we tell ourselves, good, bad, or indifferent, I mean, that's our story. Or somebody else telling the story of you, that's their story. And so I really appreciate that, because I've took some courses on Landmark on that. It's pretty interesting how that really works with that, and helps you to really realize where you're at in life, and on your story. It's just something you got to really determine. And also the association of people, who you're surrounding yourself, because ever since, I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. Even as a JW, I did my thing. I got in trouble. I got thrown in the back room for talking to some of the congregation about my network marketing business. So I've been there, you know what I'm saying? They said, hey, you can't be passing cards and telling people you're having a little party at your house, and you got products. And I was like, oh man, I thought I was gonna get the whole congregation in. I was gonna be rich. But yeah, so I mean, it's it's just what you make of it, and especially being out here, it's like, just like you said, that's the first step. And me and you talked about this a lot, Rodney, and the purpose, and that's just what is your purpose? What do you attach yourself to? And that's what I remember we were talking about the solar thing, and you were telling me that's, you know, why you don't, even though they're offering you good money, that's why do you think you don't? You asked me the question, why do you think that's not, you don't want to do it? It's because you don't have purpose. It doesn't connect to you. So that really hit home, because now I'm able to take things off my plate that don't serve me or weigh me down, to really focus on the things that I love, and to, you know, get the other things and help people, you know, being locked up for 2.5 years, go help some of these people in the prison to make them better minds, to be entrepreneurs and do other things and do more things for the prisons and stuff like that. So yeah, I appreciate it, and appreciate all your help as well. And
What's interesting, there's a couple of things I wanted to address that you just said. You see how Michael just owned something? He said he did 2.5 years. He owns it. He's not hiding from it. He's not ashamed of it, right? But he's using that to propel himself. You see, if he walked in some kind of I got to hide that about myself or whatever, he's not owning it, right? Then this thing is always going to have a hold on me. Just like with the witnesses, some people tell me, oh, I don't want to tell my friends I'm a witness, or I was raised a witness, and they feel like some kind of shame of that back. No, own it. That's what I was. I also went to King Intermediate School and Castle High School. Right? It's not a badge that I walk around defining myself by, but if you ask me where I'm from, if I find somebody from the area I was from, I tell them, you know what, that's the school I went to, what school you go to, right? But it doesn't define me, right? Wherever I've been has made me who I am today. The good, the bad, the ugly. I own all of it, but it doesn't define me. It's steps. I'm walking up the steps. Being a Jehovah Witness was step way back here. I'm way up here. But if you're just walking on the same level, that's when it defines you. Okay.
Yeah. So like real quick on that, just on the like me doing that 2 years, it gives me to help other people, because I know that there's more purpose, because a lot of people believe that be on the streets and stuff like that, but teaching them to be an entrepreneur really plays a big part for them.
Right.
And so that's a completeness of my purpose, to help people, because I'd rather have more deposits in my heart than my bank account, because that's really what real business is. 100%. And that's what I appreciate about that.
100%. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay, anybody else have a share before we close out? Okay, this was a good one, my friend. So everyone, make sure to take note. Same time, same place next week. We'll be doing it again, and I will see you next time. Bunch of people watch us on the replay. For those of you who showed up, thank you for showing up. Keep showing up, because it helps us to talk to a live audience. Take care. Have a great week.